KWSN.com. The Kurtiss Riggs Show being brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute. Now, here's your host of the Kurtiss Riggs Show, the voice of the Sioux Falls Storm, Rich Roste.
And good afternoon and hi, everybody. I'm Rich Roste. Welcome to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And during the day, and this show, we'll be talking to the Storm head coach about the games around the IFL. We're also going to talk about the Storm's dramatic win last Saturday at the Denny Sanford Premier Center over the Iowa Barnstormers, 36-32. I really hope that you were at that game, because if you didn't, you missed a dandy. Not only the game itself, but from the start of the game, the opening ceremonies, there were 67 motorcycles. 67 motorcycles on the field in the opening ceremonies. There were great on-field promotions, and then a fantastic game on top of it. It was quite a night, and the Sioux Falls Storm defeated the previously undefeated Iowa Barnstormers 36-32. And this coming Saturday is going to be a game of equal importance or more. It's going to be against the Arizona Rattlers. But also during that game, there's going to be a great opportunity to help the school districts, some of the school districts in Sioux Falls. It's the annual big fundraiser, Night of Hope and Caring, sponsored by Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union. And there's so many great things that are going to be happening as far as this is concerned, because there's some schools that don't have the financial fundraising organizations that are often raise money for special projects, for field trips, for books, simple things like that. What this event does is it supports those schools that have that shortage, and it's brought to you by Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union. There's an Amazon wish list. If you want to buy something, you can purchase coffee and mugs from Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union, along with tickets to the game at any price level. 50% of the net proceeds will be donated back to the schools. So you come to the Storm game, have a great time. Part of your ticket price is going to go right to the schools to help them with all of these special things. Brought to you by this Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union. Now, the game coming up this Saturday at the Denny Sanford Premier Center is at 7:05 kickoff, and you can hear the game right here on 98.1 AM 1230 Sports Radio KWSN. Our pregame show starts about 6:45. Coming up on the show here, though, we'll have some highlights of the game. We'll have some ticket giveaways. All of that on the Kurtiss Riggs Show, proudly presented each week by the official Storm Sports Medicine providers, Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital, the Storm official healthcare team, and the only 5-star rated hospital in Sioux Falls. And also by Orthopedic Institute, the one to trust. Coming up next, the head coach, and you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on KWSN. Back right after this.
Is it time to sell your equipment? Sell it on AuctionTime.com, the best resource for selling farm equipment, construction equipment, trucks, and trailers. Powered by Tractor House, Machinery Trader, and Truck Paper, Auction Time brings you the largest audience of bidders from across the country and around the world. Get more for your equipment. See our current listings at AuctionTime.com or call 800-334-7443.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And each week, our opening interview with the Storm head coach, Kurtiss Riggs, is brought to you by the great folks over at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been Storm sponsors since day one. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Come see what fresh really is. Baked fresh, sliced fresh, delivered fresh. That's Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, number one in delivery sales for the entire Good Sense franchise system for the past 20 years. That's Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good. And he is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Rich. How are you?
Well, I tell you what, you have 70 degrees yesterday. It's cold and rainy today. It's South Dakota. Anything can happen, evidently.
Yeah. I hosted a big flag football tournament today at the field house, and yesterday I was thinking, gosh, everyone's going to want to be outside. It's gonna, that's all I'm going to hear is people saying we should be outside. And And then today it was, boy, thank goodness we have the field house. Yeah,
No kidding.
yeah, you're right. It just changes.
Well, around the league, there was a full scale of games throughout the weekend, except there's one playing tonight. Arizona's at San Diego. But the games that went on during the course of the week, Bismarck got their first win. They went down to Cedar Rapids and won that game 40-25. Being that we only play Bismarck one more time, that game wasn't probably high on your priority list of checking it out, or was it?
Well, we don't play Cedar again, and yeah, we play Bismarck the last game of the season. And you know, I commend the coach because they lost one of their receivers, Brandon Clark. He's on short-term IR. Mike Tatum didn't play.
Oh, really?
And they go in and get their first win. So, you know, I think you find that sometimes, I mean, some things just bring teams closer together for whatever reason. They're able to go on the road, and I think Cedar's a tough place to play.
Oh, yeah.
I do. I think that field it makes it a lot like the old storm shelter. It's difficult. But now Cedar's lost to the two teams that had not won a game yet, San Diego last week and this week Bismarck. So it's a tough go for Cedar right now.
No, very much so. But a team that had lost a couple games to their opponent wound up with a win, Nebraska, who played Green Bay for the third time, I believe, this season. They came up with a win 47-40 at home, and that was a big win for Nebraska because right now Nebraska, Green Bay, very close in the standings with Green Bay 5-3 and Nebraska 4-4.
Well, you know, they lost the first two at Green Bay, and both were close games. I mean, they had chances as they were going in, you know, towards the end of the game, and Nebraska just kind of found a way to lose the game, and Green Bay did a nice job of not trying to lose the game. And you could tell playing each other three times, Nebraska was going to get one eventually. I mean, that's so difficult, and to play back-to-back weeks.
Right.
That's really tough. You know, I remember we would always have to play Cedar the last game of the regular season, and then that's who we would end up playing the first game in the playoffs. And so we were very, you know, we kept our cards extremely close to what we might do to attack them, and we played very basic that last regular season game, and this you can't do. I mean, you got to play to win these games, and so then it comes down to just who's going to execute, who's going to turn the ball over, and that'll decide it.
Another game that went on was Quad Cities' big-time win over Tucson as far as their scoring. However, they gave up a lot of points too. Quad Cities 72 and Tucson 54.
Yeah, I mean, I know Coach Guy can't be happy about that, you know, being the owner of Tucson. You know, and Marcus, the coach in Tucson, you know he's not happy. I mean, he's a defensive guy. But people underestimate Quad Cities, and that quarterback and those receivers are very talented. They are. I mean, you saw that at our place.
Oh, my goodness,
If you give them space to work, they're going to create problems for you, and especially once they get hot, once they start getting a rhythm, they're very difficult. And the quarterback's good; he's playing well, and that's why Dylan Turner left Quad Cities and is now playing down in Sioux City now.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
But then Tucson and Quad City, they are tied in the league standings right now as far as record, 3-4 on the year, and the top 6 teams make the playoffs. So right now, Arizona undefeated, 6-0, probably 7-0 after the game tonight at San Diego. Iowa, Sioux Falls, tied at 6-1. Green Bay 5-3. Nebraska 4-4. So the final playoff spot, as the season is sitting right now, is tied with Tucson and Quad City. So things are going to be interesting as this season progresses. Nebraska is only 1 game ahead of Tucson right now, so it's going to be a whole process throughout the course of the rest of the year about the playoffs.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, like, matchup-wise. You know, Quad Cities I think they play Iowa one more time. They play us one more time. Nebraska, I think, plays Arizona, us, and I think they might play Iowa one more time. But, you know, the thing that's scary, Rich, about these teams like Quad Cities, Nebraska, Green Bay, There are teams that you feel like it's tough for them to consistently do it, but they can knock teams off. I mean, they can beat teams. It's just they struggle to do it week in and week out, but they have the ability to beat anyone in the league.
And that there's always going to be one team that could be the spoiler. And when it comes down to hosting and all these things, these types of things, it's going to be very interesting. But right now, Arizona 6-0, Iowa and Sioux Falls 6-1, Green Bay 5-3, Nebraska 4-4, Tucson, Quad Cities both 3-4, and then San Diego and Bismarck 1-6, Cedar Rapids 1-7. San Diego probably will be dropping down to 1-7 after the ball game tonight. Coach, when we come back, we're going to be talking about that exciting win out to the Denny Sanford Premier Center last Saturday over the Iowa Barnstormers, 36-32. So, Coach, stay tuned. We'll be back with you right after this.
Your body is a complex arrangement of bone and tissue that requires only the best to maintain it. At Orthopedic Institute, that's our specialty. Our services have been specifically tailored to provide the best orthopedic care in the region. Orthopedics is what we do. That's why Orthopedic Institute is the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
If you like to bowl, roll on into Eastway Bowl. Hey, wait a minute. Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full of fun entertainment center. There's many things to do. Games, and more games, plus food, great food. Come into our full-service sports bar and grill where you'll find terrific drinks with our popular late-night specials. Watch all your favorite sporting events at Eastway. Visit our website to make your bowling reservations and find out more about the full fun experience. Eastway Bowl and Entertainment Center, where there's something for everyone.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And this game recap brought to you by Eastway Bowl, the perfect spot for family fun, and Eastway Sports Lounge, the official Storm road game viewing party hosts for all the Storm fans. And the next viewing party is on Saturday, May 4th. As the Storm travels down to Quad City in Iowa to take on the Steamwheelers. Kickoff is at 7:05. And he is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, your team gets the win 36-32. Quite a defensive game with only 68 points scored. Tell us about your thoughts on that game from the get-go.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, Rich, because, it's such a low-scoring game, but I bet you both teams don't feel like, their defense played really well. I mean, the thing our defense, I spoke earlier on Craig and John, and I said, we still have a lot of holes defensively. And you watch the film and you're like, you just feel this sense of kind of disappointment. But then you watch our guys fly to the football. And that's something they're doing really well. And they created 2 turnovers because, they're just flying around. And they're really getting to the ball, stripping the ball, making the big hits. And that's contagious. Those things just start to really turn things around for a team. And then getting that huge stop at the end, Rich, to allow us to have a chance to go down and win the game. That said a ton. I couldn't applaud the defense enough for, as they were coming on the field, I'm yelling at them, hey, pick us up here. Come on, pick us up. We're not getting that. And they went out and went above and beyond.
When you talk about the statistics of the game, it looks and reads like the defense was outstanding. 4 broken passes, a block kick, 4 tackles for loss, a sack, twice held Iowa on downs, and you held them to – the defense actually held them to 26 points. That's way below what you consider a good effort. You gave up a kick return for a touchdown that made up the other points. But you look at it statistically, it really looks great. But like you say, at times when you look at it, it's like, there's a little bit of an issue we have to take care of.
Yeah, and just little things like our lane assignments, our gap assignments on the run game. The running back runs right into the end zone. And a defensive player is just standing there. He should have just squeezed down, made the tackle, and move on to the next down. And we didn't. Or, they're throwing hitch routes, and we're 14 yards deep. They're getting a hitch for 12-yard gains. And those things are just frustrating. Or a really talented quarterback like Neil is, he takes off and runs. It's frustrating because you feel like you have everything covered. We did everything right, and then they take off and run. And but like I said, Rich, I mean, we're growing, and we're very young, and we're trying to find the right mix and communicate and, when to turn it on, when to play smart, and all of those things are a work in progress. And I think by the end, we could have a pretty good group.
One thing that I've always talked about during the course of the seasons, that when the Storm was winning so easily, I said it was very difficult to make it look that easy. And people have no idea what it takes to build up to that particular level.
Yeah, you're right. And I think, not just the defense. Offensively, we're young at times there too. It used to be if a team was going to turn the ball over against us, I mean, they were going to get punished. I mean, we would sit back, wait for them to make mistakes, and just pounce on them. And you saw the other night. I mean, the defense gets a turnover for us with a chance to, score and kind of gain momentum, and then we turn it right back over. And those are things that we just would never do, ever. Mm-hmm. And now you see it. You see it, and you see the youth and the miscommunication by players, and it's kind of caught up to us, and it's something we saw even last year. We're like, hey, we're going to make mistakes, but we're also going to make a lot of great plays. And there's times you see that same aspect with this team.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Coach, what we're going to do, we have some highlights I want to play, and actually I'm going to start with highlight number 2, John, and we're going to start at that one and go from there. But this is all highlights are in the fourth quarter. Here's our first one.
So the clock reads 12:09 to play, fourth quarter. The Storm by 3, 29-26. Look for Iowa to go yard on this play. No, they don't. They throw it short. Boom, and a hit. Oh, Wofford just put the wood there to Hollenbeck. It's a gain of 6, but he paid every point for that one.
The thing about a big hit like that, it just excites the crowd, and the energy just kind of flowed to the field, and I think that was a part of it. Even though Iowa scored on that series, the defense, I think, started to play at a little different level. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. There's a difference between catching a hitch and going 12 yards and then catching a hitch and taking a huge hit like that. Offenses will second guess if they should do that when that happens. Uh-huh. And then you're right. When you get a hit like that, the crowd gets into it, the defense is into it. You can just feel the emotion change in the Premier Center, and that's what we've always expected from Trey. I mean, he flies around, and we don't want him playing slow. I mean, his best asset is playing fast.
Here's a highlight that was hugely important in the last series by Iowa.
And he's going to send Peterson split to the left side, 2 deep left. They'll both go in motion left slot. There's a snap back to Neal, looking left all the way. He's got pressure behind him, and he's going to be sacked. Sacked by Claude Davis and also T.J. Neal. That's back to the 16-yard line. It's 4th down and 12 coming.
And that sack was a huge part of that whole final series by Iowa.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, and it was funny because I had people at this flag tournament today that, geez, what happened the last 4 minutes of the game? After the Storm went for it on 4th down, didn't get it, we left, and but that's the perception. Like with outdoor football, oh well, now they got the ball, they're gonna put it away. But an indoor game is so different, and defense came out and really stepped up at a critical moment.
And here's the next highlight.
Back to action on a 4th down play. The pass goes upfield. It's incomplete. It's incomplete. The Sioux Falls Storm have held on downs, and they get the ball back. There's no flags as Iowa looked discombobulated on that play.
And, thinking about it, and maybe this wasn't the case, but it seemed to me like after that sack, things just kind of got a little bit on wobbly street for Iowa, and then that 4th down just really didn't have a chance.
I was shocked they went for that. And some of it might be attributed to, us being able to, we would have blocked that kick before half that they were going to do that ended up getting us the ball back. And it was just a bad snap, or having a new kicker in. But I still thought that's a makeable field goal for a lot of people. And it's, 4th and 11 is a tough one in the red zone. But they did. They went for it, and I agree. They seemed, out of sync and were not communicating very well, and they still went. And to our defense credit, they got the stop, and no penalties was a big thing, too.
In the next drive, there was a time where the Storm had an opportunity to get a first down, and the pass went right through the hands of Shepard, but then he wound up having a run play later on. Here is that highlight.
So now this is a crucial 3rd down and 2. Storm at their own 23-yard line have 3rd down and 2, need the 25 to pick up the first down. Trailing by 3, 22, or check the 32 to 29. Here's the handoff. Shepard around the corner. Dinks on all blockers and tacklers and rams him into the wall, and he gets the first down at the 21-yard line.
That was a determined run right there by Shepard. Took on about 3 guys there at the end.
You could feel his frustration for dropping that ball. No just doubt. Got paid back.
No doubt about it. He's on a mission right now.
And you told me a little bit about the issues that he's been having. Maybe explain that to the folks.
Well, he's playing through 2 really wounded hands right now, and we maybe need to find a better way to help him out a little bit. But he probably didn't say anything either, though. But he's got one finger that's dislocated, another one that needs surgery, and it's something he can play through, but at times it makes him, try to just palm the ball rather than actually catch it or use his body, as you saw him try to do the other night. And the 4th down play, he's wide open, and still throws a low ball to him, but it's still one that can be caught. And you see Brandon just try to pin it against his chest and isn't able to. The last play of the game, he's not able to quite hold on and squeeze the ball. There was a dig route we threw to him where, he's not able to go get it. He tries to pin it against his chest, and then an interception where he's able to usually just palm the ball over Pearson, and he can't hang on to it, and Pearson's able to knock it out of his hands, pop it up, and make a really nice interception.
Here's our last highlight, probably one of the longest highlights that we've ever had, but you'll see
and
why.
Here we go, folks. 13 seconds on the 4th quarter clock. The Storm have 3rd down and goal at their own, or at the 10-yard line of Iowa. Lorenzo Brown puts 2 in motion, left side. There's the snap. He's back to pass. Storm pick up the blitz. Lorenzo Brown has tons of time. Now he rolls to the right side. Cox fires, end zone there. Caught! Yes, it's caught! It's caught for a touchdown! It's caught for a touchdown! Shepard caught it! It's a touchdown! 1 second on the 4th quarter clock. No, was that Shelby? Or Shepard?
It went through somebody caught it, got hit, fumbled it. The ball popped up in the air and on the ricochet.
That's what it was. It went out of Shepard's hands, and Shelby caught it on the rebound.
What a play.
Oh, my.
Great throw by Lorenzo Brown. On the roll, right, threw it against his body. What a play.
A tip ball touchdown.
And that was Casey Wienhoff on the broadcast with me, and took a while for this old boy to figure out what had happened in the play, but we got it figured out at the very end. And tip ball, touchdown, 1 second left on the clock. What a finish.
It was. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely exciting. When we let the clock run down, I wanted it around 15 seconds. It ended up at 13. I thought, well, we're still fine. That's plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
A play to take 12 seconds. It just, I couldn't believe when I looked up and I saw 1 second left. I was, oh my gosh, boy, we're playing with fire here. Because you wanted to have one play and save time for a field goal to put the game in overtime. And we couldn't have done it any closer.
No. One final question about the game, Coach. What did this team learn about themselves during this ball game, and after the words and the victory?
Well, I think they learned it's a team game. It's not one facet of the ball winning for us. It's the offense kind of struggled and defense came out, got a huge stop, allowed the offense to have a chance to win the game. We couldn't get in sync throwing the ball. We were able to run the ball down, and then also just you can never give up. And it's such a great play by Kent Shelby to hustle over, and just by chance the tip pass is popping up, and there he is to grab it, snag it out of the air, and win the game for us.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the win. After a while, we'll talk about the new team, or not the new team, but the next team coming into Sioux Falls, a little team down in Phoenix called the Arizona Rattlers.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coming up next, Todd Tryon, the owner of the Storm. This is KWSN.
Waiting to see a doctor?
What's taking so long?
It can take a while.
I don't have time for this.
Or longer than a while.
We've been here 2 hours.
Forever.
Hello?
What would you say if there was another option?
Finally.
Yes.
It's about time.
We're inclined to agree. It's about time for the best patient care. Sioux Falls Urgent Care.
When should you visit Sioux Falls Urgent Care? When that common cold is not so common. When that chicken definitely needed 2 more minutes. Or when you shouldn't have done it yourself. Sioux Falls Urgent Care specializes in medical fixes for life's glitches. We're faster than the ER at a fraction of the cost. So, when you're down from a sofa stage dive, see us. Walk-ins are welcome and most insurance is accepted. Visit Sioux Falls Urgent Care today.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And this segment brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. And after we go to break, we'll take your third call, 336-1230, 4 free tickets for the game coming up on Saturday against the Arizona Rattlers. You'll want to get those tickets. He is the owner of the Sioux Falls Storm, Todd Tryon. Thanks for being a part of the Kurtiss Riggs Show today, Todd.
My pleasure, Rich. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, loud and clear. I got to say this, Todd, what a great event it was last Saturday night. The entire event, the Storm game, the pregame, the opening ceremonies, 67 motorcycles, your on-field activities. It was a well-run evening and event, and it was greatly enjoyed by, I'm sure, by everybody that was there.
I give full credit to Eric Van Beek and the rest of the game day staff for, nobody really knows what goes on behind the scenes. And we love to say that our show starts at 6:45 and kickoff happens at 7:05, and this weekend's going to be no different. So really encourage people get there early so they can see all the effort and the things that Eric puts into putting on a game day.
How tough is it for you as an owner, being that your team is on the road 5 of the first 6 games and you get, well into April and you have your second home game? How tough is that for you as an owner to budget and to plan and try to get people excited because, they have to kind of get into the habit of going to games again?
It's terrible. I mean, it's terrible scheduling on the nights that we have access to, and you just build up a little hype and then you're gone for 4 weeks. And, to sit here and here we are, we're halfway through the season and we've only had 2 home games. It is tough to budget for. And, the exciting thing is Coach Riggs done an outstanding job putting us in a position to make a run for the number 1 seed. And we got 5 our last, 7 games at home.
And that makes a huge difference. And it's awfully nice for us not to have to get on a bus after every game. As we have been doing, or catch a flight, or wind up staying an extra night out in Denver, as most of the team did on the trip back from Arizona. So travel is always interesting. So it's going to be nice to be at home for a while now, and I appreciate that very much. When you look at attendance around the IFL, how has that been going this year overall?
I would say there's some teams that are up and there's some teams that are down. I think there's just so many factors that go into play when you look at, what attendance looks like. I mean, weather is a big deal. We had 85-degree weather here, and that's no excuse. We had a lot of tickets out for this last game, and but you got some distractions too. You got everybody fighting for your dollar. And, when you got 85-degree weather out and you got Easter weekend, our numbers for our first Saturday night home game, of course you want more there, but it didn't happen. And league-wide, I think there's just, there's Green Bay's doing an absolute killer job out there. Tucson's doing a great job. Quad City's doing a great job. And then some other teams that I don't know if YouTube is a contributing factor where you can just sit in the comfort of your own home and watch the game comfortably. And I don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into play when you look at attendance.
One thing about the game coming up, if nothing else, there should be some interest as far as how you can help the Sioux Falls School District, some of the schools, in this great night of hope and caring that's sponsored by Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union for the game coming up this Saturday. Tell us a little bit about that, Todd.
You bet. There's 13 schools in the Sioux Falls area that do not have PTOs or PTAs, and what that means is, there's no parent groups out there raising funds for those schools. And I mean, it's things as simple as, we're doing a book drive this weekend on Saturday night. So if you got some extra appropriate aged books that you want to donate, you can donate those right when you walk in the main entrance at the fan info booth. Donate some books, but just anything from books to like field trips. My kids getting ready to go on to the Omaha Zoo and things that you take for granted. That our kids are able to do, and some of these Sioux Falls schools are not able to do it. And so, the funds are going towards some field trips. The funds are going towards, basic needs like washer and dryer, because kids show up with the same outfit they left on Friday and it hadn't been washed. Just things like that. And so, all money that's being raised this weekend is going towards an outstanding cause, things that, our kids should not have to go through, but they do.
Well, with your purchase, you can get a coffee and mug from Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union. And with your tickets, any price level, put it that way, 50% of the net proceeds going to be donated to the schools, courtesy of Sioux Falls Storm, along with Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union. I applaud you, Todd, for doing this. Anything new around the IFL? I heard that there's going to be a new team in Stockton, California.
We have got a lot of exciting things happening inside of our league, and we've done a great job of being much more proactive this year. A lot of times you wait towards the end of the season, and the off season is just an absolute, it's crazy season, we call it. And this year we started the crazy season in season and much earlier. And I feel we got a really, really cool vision and play right now. And, the thing about the IFL is it dwindled down to 6 teams, but those are some pretty 6 strong teams. And now we've crept back up to 10. And I feel like we're all on a unified front in the direction we're trying to go. And, with that vision, we're doing a great job of recruiting some new franchises and some existing franchises, and I look for a pretty large footprint come next year.
Well, fantastic. Well, Todd, 10 years now with the ownership of the Storm, is that correct?
It has been, yeah. It's been a roller coaster, Rich.
I believe that.
It's been a roller coaster.
Well, it's been fun for me to ride it, and there's no doubt about that, Todd. And thank you for all that you have done for the Sioux Falls Storm community and the Sioux Falls Storm franchise. I wish you many more very successful years.
Rich, thanks so much. Hey, just one thing, a nightofhopeandcaring.com. You can go to that site, and I really want to compliment KSFY and Sioux Falls Federal Credit Union. They've really been behind them and the Sioux Falls School District for this weekend's game. They've done unbelievable work behind the scenes. But a nightofhopeandcaring.com, you can see how you can contribute to this weekend. So thanks to those guys.
Good stuff. Thanks, Todd.
Appreciate it, Rich.
You bet. Coming up next, Damian Ford, and you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on KWSN. Back right after this.
Sioux Falls Hotel is proud to serve.
The Winklers thought they were prepared for the summer heat, but their perspiration would prove otherwise. The family had grown accustomed to the AC breaking down and improvising. But the not-so-silent hum of their makeshift AC was wearing thin. That's when it became clear it was time to call the service guys. Waterbury, we are service.
You're listening to The Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And this segment brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. And when we go to break, we'll take your third call, 336-1230. 4 free tickets to the game coming up on Saturday as the Arizona Rattlers are coming to town. Joining us via the fan line, he is a wide receiver with the Sioux Falls Storm, Damian Ford. Damian, thanks for being a part of the Kurtiss Riggs Show.
I appreciate you having me.
Well, I tell you what, last season you had 7 receiving touchdowns. This year already you have 8. I think you had some injury last year also, but tell us why this year you've just been able to elevate your game even more, especially in the touchdown category.
Just basically just having another year in the playbook, having more of an understanding. So once you have the concept of what you're doing, you can play faster on game day because practice is the hardest part.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I watched practice many times. Coming into the game this Saturday, you have 20 receptions, 300 yards in receiving. Now that you've been a part of the Storm the second year, are you finding that you have more company, more double coverage as you're running routes because you had such a successful year last year?
I don't want to necessarily say double coverage, but I do get a little more attention. They try not to double cover too much in this league because of the open spots they can have, but I do draw a lot of more attention. I like it, though, because it's just a sign of respect from your opponent, and it just gives you something to prepare for during the week, knowing that you're going to get your opponent's best shot.
Talking with Damian Ford, wide receiver with the Sioux Falls Storm. Now, as a veteran player, how do you look at your role on the team now differently than when you just came to the Storm last year?
Look at it more. I have to be more a leader with the young guys that don't came in because they don't know the playbook the way I do. And in order for us to be a successful unit, all facets of the offense has to be on one accord. So as much as I can be as a leader and the eyes on the ears and feel for them for Coach Riggs to help those guys play fast so we can be successful, that's the role I take on.
Now, when you think about it, when you came to the Storm, were you surprised how extensive and how big that offensive playbook was?
Oh, I really was. But at the same time, the competitor I am, I like challenges. So to see it, I knew that I could take it on, and that was just my whole goal, just trying to get as much of the playbook down as possible, because I knew that was going to be the best way for me to be successful and to help the team be successful as well.
What is the one main difference between outdoor football, 11-man football, and playing indoors? The one thing that is really different, either good or bad, for a wide receiver?
Spacing.
Uh-huh.
And because as a receiver, you have to get to certain spots on the field, but with the indoor, by being so confined, you don't have the spacing that you would have on the outdoor field. So you have to understand spacing in this game, and it's a good thing. It's a good and bad thing. It's bad. It's bad because if you don't get the concept, you'll be out of indoor football real fast. but if you do get the concept and you do get a chance to go back outdoors, it'll make the game so much easier for you.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Many guys have said this when they go back, like if they get up to Canada and play in the Canadian Football League, the game slows down for them after playing in indoor football because it's so fast.
Exactly.
What do you like to do away from football?
I like to shoot pool. I like to go bowling. I'm a big sports guy, so man, a lot of things I still do out there is something sports related. Other than that, I may just be in the house watching Netflix and nothing like that. Not a big gamer.
You know, there's a television commercial. Matthew McConaughey is in it, and he shoots a masse shot in pool. Could you do that shot?
No, I'm not that good yet. I'm just good at geometry. My angles are good right now. I can still make a bank shot.
Well, you can. Well, that's amazing. That's a great step right there. Well, Damian, great to have you on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. I appreciate everything that you've done with the Sioux Falls Storm, and my very best to you the rest of the season.
No, sir. I appreciate you. You have a good evening as well.
Thank you very much. Damian Ford, wide receiver with the Sioux Falls Storm. We'll be back, and we'll be talking to the head coach of the Storm about the Arizona Rattlers right here on FM 98.1 AM 1230 Sports Radio KWSN.
First Premier Bank Free Plus Checking gives you the freedom to bank anywhere with online account opening, instant issue debit cards, and no unpleasant surprises. Apply online or at any branch location. First Premier Bank Free Plus Checking. Member FDIC.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roste.
And this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, 917 South Cliff Avenue in Sioux Falls, working to further enhance their deliveries in Sioux Falls by supplementing their delivery staff with a third-party delivery company so you get your subs baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Earlier this year, the Rattlers defeated the Storm 58-40 down in Phoenix. Since that time, how has the Storm changed or improved? And also, how about Arizona? How have they changed and improved?
Well, it seems like they're clicking, I guess you could say, playing with confidence and getting after teams they should get after. Sometimes you kind of let teams that you're better than still find ways to play with you. And Arizona does a nice job of, even Tucson was with them for a while, and then they continued to come after you, and eventually you make mistakes. And that's what happened against us. I think a difference with us, though, is Adam Lawrence Martin offensively makes us a lot better. And that was a big issue for us against Arizona the first time. I think we're getting more comfortable, even though we didn't play that way this last week. Getting Trey Walker back defensively helps us a lot, too. And just the guys getting more reps with each other in the defensive backfield's a better thing for us.
When we went down to Arizona to play the Rattlers the first time, they had two quarterbacks, Reed and Ziemba. And Reed went down to an injury. I believe it was a season-ending injury. So now Jeff Ziemba is the main quarterback. He has 13 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. When you have just one quarterback basically that you're concentrating on, does that help you as far as game planning for them, or does he just have enough things that you just have to really be careful about whatever?
Well, he's not the athlete that Verlon Reed is. I mean, Verlon, he's probably the best athlete in the league. But Ziemba, that's why they signed both those guys. I mean, they have 2 starting quarterbacks, and Ziemba, he can run too. I mean, he's not as explosive, but he can run effectively, and he's thrown the ball very well. I mean, he sees the field very well. He's got a very good understanding for what Coach Guy wants to do. And it seems like it doesn't matter who they plug in there at receiver. The system and schemes are what's beating the defense rather than just the talent.
They have a running back in Lally. He has 293 yards of rushing. He has 12 rushing touchdowns. However, the big running back is back. Daryl Monroe is back. He has 1 game. He had 10 carries, 64 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What does he bring to the table for the Rattlers?
Well, Lally got put on short-term IR. And, yeah, they activated a running back from Indiana State, and then Monroe's on the roster. Just big physical backs. The key for them, Rich, is their offensive line. I mean, they're so good up front. Even to lose the Illinois kid to the Arena League, I mean, they find another really big physical veteran guy, and they win up front is what they do. And then, when you get a big, huge back like Monroe, it's so hard to bring him down, and you've got to really rally to the ball. But they do such a good job of getting body on body with everybody. You don't always have more than one guy to try to make that tackle, and against Monroe, that can be difficult.
Well, this is a team that puts up 66 points a ball game. They give up only 37. What's the Storm going to have to do to be able to beat them Saturday in Sioux Falls?
Well, we've got to play just as physical. I mean, I felt like when we went out there last year, even though it was a high-scoring game, it was a very physical game. And we gave up some points and some big plays, but we got after them, and we tried to really hit them and let it be known that it's going to be really tough to run the ball on us. You're going to have to throw and hope eventually they're going to make mistakes from it. Now, I don't know if that's our identity this year. I don't know if we can do that. And, we're going to go out and try and see what works and try to go with that.
Well, Coach, best of you. We'll talk to you prior to the game on Saturday.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. When we come back, we'll wrap this up. This is KWSN.
Your house is not only...
Hey guys, Bellator lightweight champion Michael Chandler here. I'm here at one of my favorite places in the entire world, the wrestling room. But if there's one thing we know about wrestling rooms, they can get extremely dirty. We're talking skin infections, we're talking about funk, we're talking about smelly armpits, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. So, my friends at Pure and Clean Sports came up with an awesome solution. Spray it right on your skin, wipe it off. Smells great, keeps you clean from the time you leave the mats to the time you can get home and shower. Not only is it the greatest skin defense in the entire world, it's the safest. Check them out, pureandcleansports.com.
Final segment of the Kurtiss Riggs Show. I'm Rich Roste, and thanks for making us a part of your evening. I really appreciate that more than you realize. Storm going to be taking on the Arizona Rattlers this Saturday, 7:05 kickoff, 6:45 pregame on FM 98.1, AM 1230, Sports Radio KWSN. Joe Evenson and I will have the call for you. And the Kurtiss Riggs Show proudly presented each week by the official sports medicine providers, Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital, and also Orthopedic Institute. When we go off the air, third caller, 336-1230, 4 free tickets for the Arizona Rattler game. I want to thank the head coach of the Storm, Kurtiss Riggs, along with our guests, Todd Tryon and Damian Ford. And also a special thank you to Hall of Famer John Michaels, our KWSN studio producer and engineer, for making the Kurtiss Riggs Show run so smoothly. Folks, have a great evening. We'll be again back here next week, same time, 6 o'clock, and you'll be listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on FM 98.1, AM 1230, Sports Radio, KWSN. Good night, everybody.